Hey y'all, it's Melissa with Sincerely Creative On. We're going to make this was a wreath kit. We're going to make a pancake style wreath today with a super cute ornament shaped sign. It's a wooden sign. The kit came with the sign itself, these 4 ribbons for the bow. It came with a full pancake bundle frame, which is the 14-inch, which we're going to be using today. It also included the 10-inch and the sign extender. Those can be used at a later time. We're going to work with the 14-inch today. The mesh, it comes with a full roll of the 10-inch, 10-yard roll of mesh. And I've already pre-cut the mesh to make this video go a little bit quicker. So you're going to cut 12 pieces at 20 inches a piece. 12 pieces. We have 12 spots for our pipe cleaners here. 12 at 20 inches. And then what you have left will actually be enough to work on that 10-inch frame. And we have other videos for that for you to see. Okay, so again, I've already pre-cut those. I used a rotary cutter and my self-healing mat that you see here. So all I did was roll out the Deco Mesh, apply pressure, and cut the whole thing on my self-healing mat. Okay, so this is what we have left. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to start with our pipe cleaners here today. Keep dropping one of these pieces of mesh. Oh, keep dropping that. Okay, we're going to start with our this kit is just a little bit unique because of the shape of the sign. It's not a rectangle like I usually use. It's not a circle like I also use. It's a little different shape. So the way we place things might be a little bit different and how we put the bow. So it's going to be a little unique here with the design and the different shape. Okay, so we're going to start with our pipe cleaners. These are just regular pipe cleaners. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we start, because I'm doing this at home and I have the tools that I prefer to use and I like to use, I'm going to use a staple gun. If you don't have a staple gun, if I were you, I would start with, your kit came with these little zip tie mounts. I would start by taking the tape off the back of those mounts. Okay. If you have a little bit of DAP Rapid glue, it's DAP Rapid, I think it's DAP Fuse maybe. If you have a little bit of that, put a little teeny tiny size there right on the sticky, and then put it right on your ornament. I'm going to add my pipe cleaners like just side to side, so you could do that also. And then just stick them on there, and then if you have clamps, nice clamps, I always do that just to kind of help. So that way by the time we get to the sign part, your sign will be prepped and ready to go. If you do have a staple gun, just follow us along, and then when we get to that part, we'll do it together, okay? So your kit comes with this. I can't assume that you have a staple gun, so I added the zip tie mounts just for that reason, okay? So, all right, we're gonna add our pipe cleaners, and we're gonna go right around the frame, adding one pipe cleaner. So these are 12-inch pipe cleaners. I'm going with green just because the ribbons that we're going to use, this will kind of blend in. Same with the mesh, will just blend in. You're not going to see them, so it doesn't really matter what color they are, although I wouldn't go with like neon yellow just in case, but the green is going to be just perfect. So I'm adding them to the frame exactly where the hole matches the notch. So I'm adding them right there, nice and easy. I don't have to measure, I don't have to count, I don't have to anything. As long as I'm putting a pipe cleaner right where that notch is, I am good to go. Now you will also notice there are other holes in this frame. They are to help when you're adding your bow, when you're adding your sign, if you needed additional help to kind of help you balance. And I'll point those out in just a minute when I'm all done with these, but they are not necessary. You don't have to use them, but they're there if you need it. And then also what I'm going to tell you is I try to make sure when I put my pipe cleaners in, I try to make sure that I'm tying whether it's on the inside or the outside. I'm crisscross and tying that kind of right on top of where the notch is. Not out here in the notch, but on the wood close to the edge. So instead of it being right here, or instead of it being where the hole is, I'll really try to do it on the outside. And that's just because if I do it on the outside here, and if I do it on the inside here, I give a little bit extra room for those layers to kind of really show off that outer layer. Okay, let's set the rest of those aside, and then we're going to start with our mesh. One thing, if you're into prepping just like me, I've already pre-cut the mesh, again, 20 inches long. You can also take your 2 ribbons, so they come to you wrapped just like this, okay? Now you want to make sure that they are 14 inches. We want our tails to be 14 inches. Typically, we wrap them for you in 14 inches. Just in case it was 12, you want to make sure. So just take a look. As long as it's 14 inches or longer, you're good to go. And then I would just open it and cut it. Not this one, it's for the bow. But for these 2, they come just like this wrapped, okay? So then you can just cut right here. You open it up just like that and cut. And then open it up here and cut. And then you'll end up with 12 pieces. Again, this is for the bow. Don't cut that one. I've already pre-cut these just to make this video go a little bit quicker. So we have our 2.5 inch and our 2.5 inch. They're both wired. I cut them, again, 14 inches long. I also dovetailed the ends to make that go a little bit nicer, prettier, look a little bit more polished. So all I did was fold it, and then I took my scissors and cut on the fold up towards the edge. So on the fold up towards the edge, and I just kind of gave it a little haircut there so that you end up with this nice pretty V-shape edge here, okay? So I'm gonna take my, typically I always take my favorite and put it on the top. I line them up just as best as I absolutely can. I fold it just so that I can find the center. And then that's how we're stacked right now. We're at that point. Then I'm just going to unfold it, and then I'll scrunch it up. Okay, so we're going to add our mesh first, 1 layer, and then our ribbon, 1 layer, and then we'll add our second layer of mesh, second layer of ribbon. We'll make the bow, add the sign, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so for this, we're going to swing right up the center. We're going to just ruffle, ruffle, ruffle. Y'all, after doing so many of these, actually, my thumb kind of cracks. It gets super duper dry. That's when you know you've had a busy season. So I'm going to put that right back in, right down. Bring my pipe cleaners up. Again, we're working on the outside. Okay, nice and tight down there. Crisscross, twist, twist, and then I'm going to overlap this part over here. And I'm going to overlap the top over on the other side, and then I'm going to kind of tuck them in so that I can keep it mostly round, but definitely flat. I'm going to turn these upside down, kind of inside out, so it ends up being round but still flat like a pancake, right? Okay, so it might be deceiving as we go along, and as we're putting in mesh and ribbons. I assure you that it's going to end up being super duper flat. Okay? Alright, so here we go. We're going to just ruffle right up the center. Ruffle, ruffle, ruffle. You always want to make sure you're grabbing that whole thing. This mesh is kind of nice. It has that green line in the middle, and so it kind of really helps me guide. I'm just going to gentle bring my hands through. Crisscross, nice and tight. Twist, twist. This mesh is one of my favorites. Everybody asks, what do you use for a pancake? This is one of my favorites. It has that jute and the foil going through with a little bit of color. Totally and absolutely love it. If I could use this mesh only, it comes in different colors, so in different stripe colors, I totally would. It gives you that natural neutral look with the burlap color. and then also gives you a little bit of sparkle and shine with that foil. It's really the best of both worlds. My second favorite would definitely be just the plain burlap, just the plain jute. Again, to highlight those ribbons, which we're, put a lot of money into that ribbon. And then my third would be the border stripe. I love all the colored mesh. I do. It's great. It's fun. It's exciting. It's interesting to look at, and I do use it. This is just one of my favorites. Now I've pre-cut this so it would make the video go a little bit quicker. But it does, you want to make sure you're doing quality work. It does take time, and it also takes a little bit of practice. So if this is your very first time, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you make your first 12 cuts on your mesh, and then with what you have left over, maybe cut a piece or two and play with it. See, how it feels, how you ruffle, how, you could improve, how you just feel the motion. That way you're not using those first 12 pieces, because they tend to be the pieces that are a little more kind of, they're not wound so tightly. What comes off here isn't going to be so big and kind of round like this. In these pieces, these pieces are the best to go on the outside. So those first 6 cuts that come off that roll are the best to go on the outside of this frame. Just because, it has a nice, look, I let go of it, it has a nice range of motion there, nice coverage, taking up a lot of real estate, kind of doing a little bit more what we want it to. Whereas what comes off on the inside of that roll isn't so fluffy, whatever, you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to make sure that those inside pipe cleaners are ready for me to use when I'm ready. But before I use those, I'm going to go back to our ribbon. I love this ribbon because it has so many things from the sign. It does have nice big letters, so you're not going to really see that it says Merry Christmas in the actual design. However, I thought it was really fun, and if you really look at it, you could tell, okay, it says Merry Christmas. It has all the letters. But I like the polka dots with the polka dots. Oops, let me get this over here. I like the polka dots with the polka dots, the stripes with the stripes, the green, the dark green with the dark green, the lime green, and then I paired it with the black and white, just a different kind of plaid to bring out that black and white. And I just love it. I just absolutely, totally loved this kit, and I'm really excited to put it together. Okay, so I'm going to make sure when I put these in that the letters are always facing me. Just because I put that in, it's going to have that same kind of pattern going on, and I'm not maybe putting them upside down. Okay, so I'm always going to make sure I'm scrunching it the same way, push it out towards me, right? So I need all those little pokies to come out towards the outside, and then put it nice right down in there on top of that mesh, and I'm going to twist 7 or 8 times. I want that to be about 1 inch or so that when I come and cut it off, it won't come apart. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here with this ribbon and add all of it, and then we'll go and fluff it out because we don't want to leave it just like this. Excuse me. Ooh. Okay. So the number one thing, y'all, first of all, you can text me at any time. Okay. I have a text message service that does come right to my phone. It's an app, so it doesn't even matter if it's 2 or 3 in the morning. It's not going to wake me up, I promise. And then I try every morning or every day to go through my messages and answer according to your time zone, according to my time zone. Even if I don't answer, I do read them all. Sometimes it's just a, you're sending me pictures, and I'm probably reading it sometimes at 2 and 3 in the morning, and sometimes I forget to go back. But anyways, you can text me at any time if you have questions, and I'm happy to help. Happy to help with that. I just love seeing your pictures of your trees, of course, when it's Christmas time. All the things that we've done classes together, and you've, want to show me. That's my favorite. That's my favorite text messages. Okay, we're going to just go through, and just for the sake of this video and kind of eliminate some of the pipe cleaners that we got going on here, I'm going to cut the excess off because we just don't need it. You could just leave it and push it in because you're not going to see what goes on the inside of this. But just for this video, we're going to go ahead and cut them off. Okay. And then now the important part. Now, if you are sending me a message and you say, mine just don't look like yours, or you say, my tails never look like yours, I'm going to say, did you pull it apart? Because if you leave it like this, it's not going to look like mine, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of just push that in, okay? Push it in just a little bit, and then we're going to take these and I'm going to pull them apart up and down, and I'm going to pull them apart side to side, okay? Pull them apart up and down, pull them apart side to side, so that I can see all of those ribbons, both the black and white and the red, all the way around. And I'm going to keep that same exact pattern actually, so I make sure it's black and white, red, black and white, red, black and white, red, black and white, red. So it keeps a nice pattern going all the way around. Okay? It's just easy on the eye. It's appealing. It's pleasing. It's easy to look at. It doesn't look like something's wrong. And I know, because I know, y'all want to sometimes put your reds together and your blacks on the outside, and then the blacks match and then the reds match. Don't do that, okay? It's so much easier, not necessarily easier, but it's so much nicer to look at when it's separate, okay? Now, y'all can do whatever you want. This is just my opinion, of course, and I'm giving it to you unsolicited, but I know when I'm looking at something that I, interested or whatever, I like to see the pattern going all the way around, for sure. And it might not look like I'm pulling them up and down and then side to side, but I promise, in my little figure going on here, that's exactly what I'm doing, okay? It's just muscle memory in the way I kind of do it. But it's a very important part. I feel like it's important to point it out. All right, so we're going to go in and do the exact same thing on the inside. We're going to do the exact same, okay? We're going to take our mesh and we're going to ruffle it up, and we're going to take it and put it on the next, right on the next layer. You're going to start to see less of the ribbon on the outside. That's fine. Don't worry, don't panic. We're going to start to see less of it. It's going to have a nice layered effect in the end, and I'm sure you will be pleased. It's a lovely little design here. I'm trying to be cautious of that thumb all at the same time. This is interesting. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Ruffle it, overlap. So that again, it's going to be nice and thin. I'm going to just show you, see it's nice and thin to fit between your doors, okay? But also very deceiving when you look at it, because you're starting to see like, wow, that ribbon looks real nice. It looks nice and full. There's that mesh. I keep moving it just because I need space here and all that stuff. Roll up, 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 up. Now this layer will also start to overlap that inner, so these barely touch, and then these will overlap each other because they're the twist ties are a little bit closer than the outer twist ties. So now you're starting to really hide the frame. Listen, nobody loves, if you did know, this is a patent pending frame that I am a co-inventor for. It's specifically made for our pancake wreath design. So this now starts to overlap this, and you can't see the frame. No one wants to see the frame more than I do. I love it, right? It's my baby. Well, it's my third baby. But your customer certainly doesn't want to see it, right? So we got to do our best to cover it up. Now the frame makes it very interesting for a nice solid foundation. Okay, you can add a lot of weight to it. So this frame, the only thing it can make isn't just this style pancake. We can for sure do all sorts of fun things, nice and big. If you follow me in the creative coaching group, you know just how big and heavy these can get by adding on all of our beautiful supplies and picks and sprays and florals and signs and all the stuff. So this is just one of the many ways we can create on this frame. If you're looking for wreaths that are much bigger, more detailed, lots of things going on, we teach those on an everyday basis. Well, 6 days a week rather, inside our creative coaching group. It's a little more private setting. It's a little more intimate, a little more detail, of course. We have a wreath attachment person. We have someone who works specifically on the flower boards. We have several other designers that are all very talented in their own very different way. It is an amazing group of folks. And we're all have very similar businesses, but all come together to teach and inspire y'all to follow your dreams and improve your creative skill, and either make your own home even more beautiful, or, of course, like me, sell your beautiful things. All right, so we're getting right in here. Last one, overlap here, overlap there. Just absolutely tootly love it. Okay, so we're gonna go in again with the same thing, now still nice and thin. It's beautiful. Nice and thin. Okay, nice thick good mesh, keeping it still kind of feel, I don't want to say fluffy, because when y'all think fluffy you might think like big, but it's a nice, it's just a really pretty, and this mesh just, well, I'll show you in the end. Okay, all right, so we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna add our ribbon right to the top. So I have our red ribbon on the top, squished nice and tight, gonna go right back on top. So pretty. Really starting with those layers. So if you're still listening and watching the whole thing, my journey was a little longer than it probably should be. I learn a certain way and bite off what I can chew, tackle it, get used to it, get comfortable with it before I like to go on to the next scary thing. So we've been in business since 2017, and things have gradually and just gradually, I don't know any other word, have increased and improved, and we've been, I don't want to say consistent, because you might think you might have a different definition of consistent, but in my consistent world, we've been pretty good at growing at a fairly decent pace And then all of a sudden, in October 2023, I decided, okay, I'm going to work every single day, because that's not typically how I do things. I'm a scatterbrained and all over the place. And so in October, I decided, all right, we're going to work every single day. And we have grown in 8 weeks. We have increased by over 300,000 people. It has been an incredible journey. It has been one to definitely take notes on and understand and kind of analyze, and all those things. It's certainly, I'll say, for those of you who are watching this far, this is not my pace. This is not typically how I roll, that's for sure. But we're definitely here to embrace it and see where the next chapter takes us. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to push those in, spread those apart. We're going to do the exact same as the first layer, and then I'll just keep talking through it. Y'all can fast forward if you want, but we're going to do the same thing all the way around. We have so I technically started selling wreaths in early 2015, and actually maybe not early 2015, maybe mid, I don't know. It was 2015. And officially really started my business and started to learn and get going in 2017. I was always the one who was crafty and doing all the fun things, and my friends and family would always say, and I know some of you have heard this before, but I would always say, they would tell me, you missed your calling. You should do this for a living. Blah, 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 blah. I made cards. I made scrapbooks. I helped decorate for kids' birthday parties. Like, I was kind of into it, but I always just said, you can't make money selling crafts. That was what I said. You couldn't tell me any different, right? Look at how pretty that is with the layers. Love it so much. Okay, we're going to, now, the goal with my sign and my bow, okay? The goal with the sign and the bow is to cover up. I know some of you love that mesh. I know. It's pretty. It is. But if you are looking at it in person, you can totally see just peaks of that mesh all the way through. So I love you for loving it, but we're going to cover up the center, okay? This just looks unfinished, number 1, and you can see those pipe cleaners, number 2. Now you could tuck them under the ribbon, which is what I used to always do. I skipped that step just because it's not really necessary. But anyways, we're going to use our sign to cover up what we can see of that mesh. And then we're going to use our bow to cover up this last spot right here. Okay? Don't forget, if you've gotten this far, if you don't have a staple gun, your kit came with these 2 zip tie mounts. You want to tape them or stick them to the back of your sign. If you haven't done that yet, do that now. Okay, you want to use a little bit of DAP Rapid Glue just for extra. Clamp it until it dries. So if you're using that extra glue, just let it sit for a little bit before you're complete. Okay, love, right? Let's do their sign first so I have that out of the way. Sorry, folks. Okay, let's go back to the sign. Now, your kit comes with the zip tie mounts. Zip tie mounts. I'm going to use, this is just the back of a ribbon spool. Okay, I'm going to use this. My sign itself is not quite 1/4 of an inch. My staples are 1/4 of an inch. So if I put my staple through without any extra padding, if I put my staple through, it's going to come to the other side, and I don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to add these little extra pieces so that it makes it a little bit thicker. Okay, and then I'm going to take my what are these? Pipe cleaners. was going to call them, I don't know what I was going to call them. I'm going to add my staple nice and tight, or I'm sorry, nice and strong, push it through. I'm just going to add another one just for fun. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now, your kit comes with the pipe cleaners. There we go, I only need one there. And I'm just going to tie it or twist it. Now I'm going to be able to use this to go through the mesh and attach to the sign, okay, or to the wreath, okay? So we're going to set that there for just a second. We're going to get to making our bow. So if you haven't already yet, prep your sign, get it ready. Now, I have super bad carpal tunnel, if I didn't say that in the beginning. So I use a easy bow maker to help hold my layers of ribbon in between. I enjoy making the layer in my hand. I just can't keep it in my hand and add the next one. One, I'm a little not that coordinated. Number two, my hand would start screaming after me after the first or second layer. So I make the layer in my hand and put it in the easy bow maker to help me out. It's just the way I do it. In the last couple of months, my strength in my hand have gone. So I actually use a zip tie and a zip tie tightening tool just to help me. Your kit comes with a zip tie, one of these to tie the bow. So this is just an extra thing that I have to do for myself. Okay, so your kit comes with enough ribbon to make this exact bow. So if you follow my instructions and my measurements, your bow will turn out just like mine. Now, if you have other ribbon, you want to practice the loops first before practicing with the ribbon that we're going to use here. Maybe do that if this is your very first time, so that when you're ready to actually make the loops, then you have this ribbon to make your bow. So we're going to start with our 2.5 inch. We actually, for this one, went a little different. Usually I do just this, a 2.5 inch, a 1.5 inch, and a 1.5 inch. I could not leave out these polka dots. I totally loved it. And I also felt like the bow needed an anchor color. I love the white. I love how it pulls out of the white of the sign. But I didn't feel like it could be the anchor of my bow. So I went with the polka dot to add. So we're going to just dovetail these ends. Okay. And my tail is going to be, 7 inches. And my first loop, or my first layer loops, are going to be 6 inches. So just 6 inches, and then I'm going to pinch. Again, don't mind my thumb here with the bandages. Twist. Okay, you always want to twist it so that I can see the pretty side. Okay, twist. Make another loop that looks about the same. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to eyeball it there. Looks about the same as the last loop. Pinch behind, and then I'm going to twist. So I got to put this side on the other side. I'm just going to twist it. So twist, right? Just like that. And then my last loop. So every layer of this bow has 3 loops and 2 tails. Pinch, and then twist that last one, just like that. I'm going to put it down in here just to hold on to it while my hand kind of relaxes a little bit. And then we're going to put them out. Just to get us ready and just show you, we have 2 loops on one side, 2 tails on the other side in 1 loop. So with the next layer, it's going to be the same, but we're going to flip it. So the 2 loops will be over here, and the 2 tails and the loop will be on this side, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just cut this here. Now, this bow is actually going to end up like this in my sign, in my wreath. This is going to be the longest part of my bow. I want the longest part of my bow in this specific design to come off the edge here. So I don't want it going up into the sign to cover up the sign. So I'm creating it sideways, but just how you know how it's going to turn out. All right, so we're taking our next ho ho ho. So cute. This one actually has a little bit of glitter. It has the lime green, it has the emerald green, it has the red, the white. Really cute ribbon, all the different kinds of 8 ho-ho-hos. So we're going to take our next layer, and then I'm just going to use my previous layer to help guide me. I want everything to be a little bit smaller than the previous. So you can measure it if you want. I'd make your tail, so your first tail was 7 inches, and the first loop was 6 inches. So I would go with just maybe a 1/2 inch shorter on everything for this layer. So pinch, twist, loop. We're doing the same exact thing. Pinch, twist, tail. Now again, my 2 loops are over here. I want my 2 loops to go over here on this side. I'm going to slide them right down in there. So I have my, everything is going to go also opposite, okay? So I'm going to go, I want my red. I want the ho, ho, ho. Red, ho, ho, ho. Red. Same thing. Ho, ho, ho. Okay? You want to give that bow a chance to see all of your layers. Okay? So then we'll do the next thing. Now we'll use this. We're going to forget about the red and white. We're going to now use this, and then I want my black and white to go in between. Right? Easy breezy. Now if you think about it that way when you're fluffing your bow, you got it. So this is, I love this stripe. It's a satin. Same with this. It's a little thin, but I just love the way it looks like the top here. Actually, I'm going to put the red next and put the black and white on top and be a little, let's be a little risky there. Y'all can do your bow however you want. But I really think I'm going to put that red and white on the top, or black and white on the top. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one. Same thing, a little bit smaller. So I want my red to go in between. Pinch. Now, it's a solid red, so not necessarily does it have to be twisted, but that wiring and the edge, you can just tell which one is the front, which one is the back. So if you want to be really picky, you can make sure you're doing the twisting. Now again, those 2 loops are going to go opposite of the 2 loops. So I'm going to put that right down in there, and then make sure, again, I'm going up, opposite. I'm using just the ho 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 ribbon as my guide here. So I go in between each of those. And then our top, let's get this cut here. Let's cut over here. You can always make those shorter. You can't make them longer easily. I mean, you can, but anyways. So the top is going to be a little bit different. It's going to have a teeny tiny little loop on the top. And this is just going to end up helping me hide my zip tie, hide the pipe cleaner. So this is just the way I do it. So I'm going to do another tail. Okay. And then the very first loop is going to be one little teeny tiny loop. One little teeny tiny loop. Pinch. Okay. So this is about, I'd say 2.5 inches. Okay. And then I'm still going to do my other 3 loops. Pinch. Twist. Loop. Pinch, twist, a loop, pinch, and twist. So my tails end up on 2 different sides here. I'm going to pay attention to those two loops. The 2 loops were over here, so these 2 loops are going to go on the other side. Right? Then I'm going to take my red, so I'm going in between the red this time, okay, in between the red, and then that one's going to go straight up. So I'm going to just cut this one here, just like that, boom. And then what we're going to do is nice and tight, nice and carefully, get all this out of the way so I can see clearly, y'all can see clearly. I'm going to use that, I'm going to use this. And this is just scrap. So the only thing we had left over was just the ends of that ribbon from the bow. It's the only thing we had left over, because everything gets a little bit shorter. So we had just a little bit left over. Now, y'all could have taken this design, this recipe, and this kit and did your whole own way. It's completely up to you. This is just the way I did it. So I'm going to take that bow right off there. I'm going to go mess it up just a little bit, pull it off. Before I get all the way off, I make sure I scrunch it nice and tight. lift off all the way. I'm going to add my zip tie. You want to make sure that your ribbons are all going the right way they're supposed to before you, if you add a zip tie, because this will get pretty tight. And I'm just going to add or tighten this, so this will tighten and cut. Okay, it'll tighten and cut. So you just want to make sure that the teeth to the tool are the teeth to the rigid side teeth, whatever you want to call it, to the zip tie are touching the teeth to the tool. Okay, if not, you're gonna be like, this thing doesn't work. There's nothing to catch on to. So I'm gonna pull it once. Oops, sorry. So I'm gonna pull it once, pull it twice, and it cuts it off. Okay. Then, before I do any more extra fluffing, I'm just gonna add my pipe cleaner. Now, if the customer wants to take off the bow, if you want to take off the bow and keep the bow, let's say you've had the wreath for a while and maybe it starts to get a little raggedy after a couple years, couple seasons, you can keep the bow itself. So also you see this here, I want to make sure that I flip that the right way before I keep going in my fluffing. So then again, all I'm going to do now is make sure I fluff every single layer, move them into place, and again make sure that those longer tails are going to be out towards the back. So I'm just going to take that center loop first, go right up and top, up and down. I'm holding on to that in the back, just kind of like that, and then I'm just making my tails go where I need them to go, right? You're the boss of the ribbon. You're the boss. So make sure it's going where you want it to. Oops, here. This one goes over here. This one goes over here. This one goes over here. There we go. And then I'm just going to make sure I fluff that a little bit. Make sure all those. Now if I'm, for just a regular bow, if I'm keeping it year after year, I just flatten all of those loops really careful. So this one's a little bit longer. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off right now before I get it in. There we go. Okay, perfect. Absolutely perfect. We're going to make sure we get that in. Nice and fluffy, super duper pretty. So we're going to make sure we can still see our Merry Christmas. Make sure their long tails are coming out towards the edge. Perfection. Now I'm 100% on board with my bow hiding my sign a little bit. Do I want it to hide the words? No. Do I want it to, cover it, make it look like it's all one, it was supposed to be there? All those things? Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to place this now. I'm actually going to cut that off. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to place it now. I'm going to put those pipe cleaners right through. Now, I'm not going to, because I need it to be very perfect, so it's covering both of those pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners on each side. I'm not going to secure it super tight just yet. I'm going to make sure I can get my pipe cleaners on both sides in before I do the actual securing. So I'm just going to twist that once or twice so it doesn't come out. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then once I have it really in position and I have both sides of the pipe cleaners in, then I'll pull it nice and snug so it's nice and tight against that mesh. So I'm just going right now through all those layers, which is always the trickiest part. This one wasn't bad. That was pretty good. There we go. So now I have them both through. So then I'm going to make sure I have it in the right spot. In the right spot. And then I'm going to flip it. Holding that baby tight on the other side. Okay, and then I'm just going to tighten. Now, some people are like, oh, my sign is always loose. Pull it in there a little bit more. I'm just going to tuck that inside. So now you see those extra holes. I could have taken this, which was for my sign, and I could have grabbed that little hole here instead of going around the whole frame, but I didn't need to do that. It was totally fine. I had enough pipe cleaner to get around the whole frame. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, making sure that I am good to go on the coverage of the pipe cleaners. And then remember, I just tacked it a little bit, so we're going to make sure we... And then same thing here. It was a perfect position. I could have used that hole. I just didn't need to do that. Now, if you notice down here, if I need to for the bow, I could definitely grab one of those pipe cleaners. I'm sorry, one of those holes down there and add, so, you know, my pipe cleaner would just come through that hole instead of going around the whole thing. And we'll see what we need. Sometimes it's just easier that way. Sometimes it doesn't matter and I have enough space and all that good stuff. All right, I'm not going to mess with the thingies just yet. We're off just a little bit as far as it not being perfectly in the center. I'm fine with that. I just need this bow to make sure it covers those two pipe cleaners. Okay, going right in, we're going to add and make sure that make sure it doesn't cover it too much. Now the camera view, your view might be showing it a little bit different, but we're going to make sure it doesn't cover that sign when it's up on the door. I'm just adding that in. Hopefully it goes easy breezy, lemon squeezy, just like the sign. There we go. Now it might be easy for me to get in here and get that hole instead of going through the whole frame. So I have my hand on top of the wooden board underneath the mesh, trying to feel for that pipe cleaner that I'm holding the pipe cleaner right at the tip, trying to get it through the, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over so you can see. I did end up grabbing it right through the hole instead of going around the whole thing. So I just put the pipe cleaner through that one hole because it's kind of matched up perfectly there. And then I'll tighten it just the exact same way I did the sign. Y'all, it's been a pleasure creating for you. If you bought this as a kit, I hope that you enjoy and love it as much as I do. I absolutely love the color combination here and the black and white. And where'd my other tail go? Oh, it's over here. Okay. We put it in a little bit up, a little bit different. That's fine. We'll just swing it around. Remember, I just want my tails to be, my longest part of my tails I want to be. As long as I'm not covering the Merry Christmas, the Christmas part, we are good to go. This seems to always get mixed up here. There we go. Super, super duper cute. Absolutely love. And then the last thing I always do is make sure I'm coming out around and making sure all those ribbons are seen. They're all out nice and flat. You can see every single one of them. None are hiding. None decided that they were going to go back to their original position and go underneath the other ribbon. Like this one. Kind of went underneath a little bit. Make sure they're all seen. Got a camera nice and flat. I hope that you are following us, subscribed, watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all the places. A little different stuff sometimes on each of the platforms. I am Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. It has definitely been a pleasure. If you want to make sure that you receive emails for the kits when they are ready, make sure you go to don'tmissemails.com. Don'tmissemails.com. And you can sign up for our email list there. We send our kits to our email list first. And then if they don't sell out, then we post them on our social media platforms. So I hope you're following us. I can't wait to see what you create. If you purchase this kit, I can't wait to see your design. Make sure you text me a picture. My phone number is 810-498-2310. I cannot wait to see you, and I'll talk to you soon.